Good morning, Niagara. You're tuned into Car Connection, where the coffee's hot, the tools are ready, and the talk is always tuned up. I'm your host, Niall Motormouth Jenkins, coming to you straight from the Car Connection Workshop, where we mix a little humor, a little know-how, and a whole lot of horsepower. Here, it's not just about fixing cars, it's about keeping you rolling, saving you money, giving you the confidence to understand what's under that hood. From the classics to the commuters to the weird noises and the what the heck moments, we've got you covered. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join the crew because this is Car Connection, your Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. Motormouth morning drive, your pit stop for stories, smarts, and a few good laughs. And I'm Niall Motormouth Jenkins in the driver's seat this morning. And if I have a flashback, I'll share that story with you. But first and foremost, thank you for welcoming me into your world as I welcome you into my own. After 31 years being on the radio, we're now fully digital with podcasts. We've got YouTubes going, Facebook, Instagram, iHeartRadio. We're on all platforms, major and minor. So we're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. So wherever you pull your podcasts from, just type in the search bar, Car Connection Workshop, and you'll find us right there. The homepage of our website, and our website in total, is the biggest drawer we have created in our Car Connection toolbox. So whatever we talk about here or anywhere on all the platforms that we are involved with, you'll find the links in the top right-hand corner of our homepage. There's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Stevensville on the web.ca, and you would say, well, what's that all about? That's something I haven't heard before. Well, our videographer lives in Stevensville. My parents live in Stevensville and have for almost 4 decades. And so she created a website to draw the businesses and the community together. How cool is that? So they put us a profile page up there to include us because I do shopping there, and there's some great eateries. So just click on the businesses tab on Stevensville on the web.ca and you'll find us there. There's also a website form if you want to email me through there. iHeartRadio is there in the top right-hand corner, and our online store. So you purchase something in our online store, pick your size, color, pay safely online, and it gets directly shipped to your door by Freedom Expressions, which is a part of Total Freedom addiction campuses in Canada and the U.S., and that's our way of giving them some support because they don't get any outside support from anywhere else. So remember, when you buy some Car Connection Motormouth merch, you're joining the crew in helping those struggling with addictions get to a Total Freedom addiction campus where a new life waits them there. Well, we've got a ton of things to get through this morning, so let's get started. First and foremost, if you haven't been with us before, we have a swiggy together. What that means is that's our whatever our breakfast beverage is for the day or every day. We count it down, 3, 2, 1, and we have a morning swiggy together. So if you're going through the drive-thru, as I remind you, check your order, lock it down in your cup holder. We want to make sure you don't have a slosh, which has happened to me a couple of times, and that is just trying to clean up hot coffee, sloshing in your car mat, not good. Yeah, Kleenex just don't work. You need something more dramatic, like a wet shop vac. Anybody got a shop vac handy? No. So we want you to be careful out there on the roadways. You could experience some black ice this morning. We'll give you the daily weather in just a moment. But let's have our swiggy brought to us by City Auto Sales and Leasing. Low mileage quality vehicles at fair prices. Earl and Louise Grant, husband and wife team, have been in the business for over 25 years. And let me tell you, they're car guys. They don't sell any junk. I don't know where they find them, but their vehicles that they make available to you look like brand spanking new. They are the cleanest vehicles I've ever seen in my life, and that's what makes them a part of Car Connection. They're GTA's premier pre-owned auto store, the Greater Toronto area, and they also have in-house leasing as well as financing available to you. So they won't sell you any junk. You can buy with confidence and be treated with nothing less than honesty and integrity. So on 3, 2, 1, you ready? I bought you a little time there. Get yourself organized. You ready? Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Where has this been? It's kind of warm, not really hot. I don't know. The other day I was in a restaurant and I was cold. And I was really looking forward to, I was jonesing for a hot cup of coffee, let me tell you. And I get there and sit down and, what would you like? Would you like to order some beverages? Yeah, I'll have a steaming hot cup of coffee. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to chomp into that. It comes to the table, I take a sip, and it's like, yuck. This is like warm coffee, man. This is not good. It wasn't, I right away I'm going, I don't see no steam coming off that cup. I said, could you help me out here? She says, yeah, is there something wrong? I said, yeah, I was really jonesing for a hot cup of coffee. Can you help me out this one? Oh, I'm sorry about that, but we got that fixed up. But has that ever happened to you? Let me know in the comments section. Well, let's take a look at what we got to look forward to today. Now, be careful out there because there could be some black ice. In fact, the reason I'm saying that is the back deck here in the backyard oasis, if you were to step out there right now in your house shoes or slippers, you would go flat on your back. It's got a very thin, icy layer on top of it. So be careful out there. 30 degrees right now and cloudy. Wind is making it feel colder, about 25 degrees, and I only talk in Fahrenheit, just so you know. Cloudy conditions will continue all day. Today's temperature range from 29 to 44 degrees will feel more like 24 to 37, and I would say yes. I poked my head out the hole this morning at 4:30, and it's pretty cold out there. Snow expected about 0.8 of an inch, and possibly some rain at 0.45 of an inch, and 0.05 of an inch of rain in the next 24 hours. So there you go. Again, be careful out there. Potential for black ice on the highways. Take it easy, especially on the overpasses. Especially. That's where the air is heavy and it lays on the overpass and the cold air is underneath, and you're going to get black ice. When you hit that corner, your car will say this, see ya. We don't want that to happen to you. What are we talking about this morning in just a couple of minutes? Lifetime fluids. I have presented that to you before, but not in great depth. So today we're going to talk about it in a little more in depth and kind of break it out. It's one of the biggest cost shifting tricks in automotive history. I'll tell you that. I'm going to share you a piece of information that was given to me many years ago in our own automotive shop on the Hamilton Mountain. And it almost made my head ratchet 360 degrees. And I said, did I just hear what I think I heard you say? Yeah, it's the facts. And I go, oh, wow. I said, nobody has ever shared that with me. But I said, I had that belief already for many years. So we're going to be talking about that this morning. I'm going to break that out for you and hopefully give you a little more information about what many of you have been sucked into. And I mean that lovingly, sucked in, because I like to talk about the noise and the signal all the time. What does that mean? The noise are those talking heads. They just keep saying the same old word salad garbage talk until you believe it. That's what they do. If you want to call that mind sucking, yeah, it is. And unfortunately for them, I was born to be a mechanic, and I tear everything down in my head all the time. And when I hear the noise, I just start laughing. I go, I can't believe people would fall for this. But it happens. It happens. They just keep saying it until you believe it. And then when you believe it, you fall into their trick, and then it costs you, the consumer, money. So you have, in this day and age, you've got to be a prosumer, not a consumer. Yeah, you've got to find the signal among the noise. And what is the signal? That is the truth. Digging, doing your own research. And that's how I find out things all the time. And I go, yeah, that's what I thought. But now somebody's actually saying the words out loud. And that's what I look for in the automotive world for decades, over 4 decades for me, is the noise is incredible these days when it comes to an automobile, because that's one of the areas where they get you. They are always putting the gotchas out there, not the gotchis, the gotchas. Although I have a friend who calls them gotchas, and I just go, you shouldn't say that. Yeah, it's gotchis. But the gotchas, that's how they get you. So that's what we're talking about this morning. Lifetime fluids, the biggest cost shifting trick in the automotive history. So we're going to expand on that this morning, and hopefully by the end of the program, you will have been enlightened to the world of Motormouth. Because I've seen this since 1992. Just to say, I remember that conversation standing in my service bay with a representative, and we were talking motor oil. And they wanted me to switch over from the brands that I had normally carried for many, 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 many years that I'd come to know and appreciate and count on. And that conversation came up about synthetic oils. So I'm going to share that with you in just a few moments. But thank you to our certified financial planning professionals, Tony Miele, Larry Tetro, for making today's podcast available to you, as well as our YouTube channel. Thank you, fellas. They're my brothers from other mothers. They are also my personal financial planners. So when I'm talking to you and suggesting things, it's from experience. Yeah. So always remember, a man with experience is always at the mercy of a man with a theory. Exactly. And that is so true in the industry that I've been in for 4 decades. So they're with IG Well Management. They have over 50 years experience. They don't need any more clients. They're busy as it is, but because they know me and they love what we're doing with Car Connection, educating people, they'll sit down with you and answer questions and put together a plan to help you with investment portfolio. If you've got investments with the bank, you got to get the heck out of there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it at that to keep it friendly. You got to get out of there. You're not making any money. They're making all the money. They deal with debt, estate planning. That's complete estate planning, powers of attorney, the whole 9 yards, health proxies. It's not something you do yourself. So if somebody, again, if you fall into the trick, you can just go get one of those will kits and do it. If you read the whole thing, the final line will say you need to have an attorney check this. And estate planning is not something you go and get a cookie mix from the Big W store or anything else and sit down and do it yourself. No, times no, plus no, equals no. They arrange mortgages at great rates. I have to tell you, I haven't had a mortgage with a bank for a long time now, and I enjoy working with the mortgage division out in Winnipeg. They're fantastic. Customer service is bar none the best. Life insurance, critical illness insurance, all available to you, and I have all that taken care of. So that, you know what? Here's the thing, fellas and fellettes. Don't leave your family in a huge mess. If you're going to go to your great reward tonight, are you leaving family, kids, all in a mess? That's just not right. I have a friend that's going through it, and it's insane the amount of time you've got to sift through and jump through hoops because you're the guy and you got to get everything done on time because you're working with the government. So you better make sure that you have everything covered. So this is a great way for you to tap into an hour and a coffee. That's what we nickname it. It's the discovery meeting. Sit down and get your questions answered by those who have the fruit on the tree. Stop listening to the white noise. Start listening for the signal, folks. Watch what happens. Things get done. And I have to sift through that every day. The white noise, keep digging till you get to the signal. And then you know what I find out is the talking heads are so far off in left field, it's pathetic that people fall for their nonsense, no matter what it is. And you'll never hear me talking politics here, so don't ask me any political questions because I will just say, pardon? Is that the time? Exactly. All right, let's jump in this morning. So you can connect with Tony and Larry very easily. All our program partners available to you 24/7 on the homepage of our website. Don't forget that. Their links are there. You'll see all their logos. Simply click. It'll open their profile page, and you can connect completely. Get your questions answered. As my professor would always say, how do you cross a minefield, Motormouth? And I go, carefully, slowly. No. You listen to the person that's standing on the other side that's already crossed it. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? So that's what I'm saying. If somebody is giving you any kind of advice whatsoever and they're not, your feet aren't standing where they are, or actually, it's more like this. If they're not where you want to be, you shouldn't be talking to them about anything like that. Anything. That's right. Because here's what happens in the automotive world that I've seen for many, many, many years. Neighbor says, oh, your service light's on. Yeah, it's been on for a couple of days. Well, it's probably, I had that too a couple of weeks ago, and I changed my oxygen sensor myself. Oh, really? How'd that work out for you? And then they walk away because it didn't. It didn't work out. That's just it. So then you go and get an oxygen sensor, you change that out yourself, and buddy comes over and he's got his little cutesy-wootsy little code reader, and he goes in there and he dumps the fault codes, and tomorrow morning when you drive to work, the light is back on. So then you go back over there and he checks it again. Now he's confused and he says, well, that should have fixed it. Well, it didn't. I just spent $200 and it didn't fix it. Well, don't listen to me. I don't know anything. Do you know how many times I've heard that conversation? I can't even begin to tell you. The vehicle ends up at my shop, and I go, well, what have you done so far? That's the first thing I say. What have you done so far to fix this thing? How many shots from the parts cannon have we taken at this car? Well, my neighbor said, and I go, okay, so what did he tell you to change? Fuel cap or oxygen sensor? And they usually look at me and go, how do you know that? And I go, well, if I had a nickel for every fuel cap and oxygen sensor sold that didn't fix anything, I'd be living in the Cayman Islands somewhere drinking little fruit drinks with a little umbrella, twinkling my toes in the fresh sea water, calling my friends and saying, hey, what are you doing? Working. What are you doing, Motormouth? Watching ice melt. Click. Bang. That's about it. That's where I'd be. Anyhow, don't get caught in that trap. Get the answers from those who have the fruit on the tree. And that's the purpose of our website, purpose of our YouTube channel. I teach you 5 things on every video that I'm teaching when we have a bunch of laughs. There's reels put up. Skippy puts those up on Facebook and Instagram. Little short videos, reels that you won't see anywhere else. I teach you always 5 things. What it is, where it is, how it works, how it breaks, what you could have learned by just learning some basic automotive fundamentals about your automobile, how to take care of it, and take responsibility for it will save you thousands of dollars in unnecessary automotive repairs. Exactly. That's why I'm here. The 30-day fuel challenge. It's up for grabs for you to join. As soon as I have enough people to run that program, I'll be your coach. I'll guide you all the way. How would you like to put a minimum of $100 a month back in your wallet? That's $1,200 a year minimum. If you have multiple vehicles in the household and they all play the 30-day fuel savings challenge, how much money is that? A lot of money. Let's jump into the morning topic. Let's uncover the truth about synthetic oils. Lifetime fluids. This is a word that the talking heads have created, and they use it a lot, especially in the automotive repair and service industry. Maintenance free. Lifetime fluids. Lifetime warranty. Yeah, those are my top 3 favorites. And lifetime warranty, when you hear that, here's what it really means. This is all you have to remember. I don't care whether it's a washing machine or whatever it is. Lifetime warranty is only the time or the mileage when it comes to a vehicle. Whatever comes first. If you hit the date or the mileage, your warranty's over. That's it. So if it happens in a year, so you buy a new vehicle and your lifetime warranty is 3 years or 60,000 kilometers, and you burrow into 60,000 kilometers in 1 year, and I met a couple of people where that's happened, and they've been on leases. It's just crazy. We talked about that. If you missed that program, you got to go back in our library. We'll be moving into season 2 in just a few days, actually. Over 100. Yeah, we'll hit 100 next week. 100 podcasts are in our iHeartRadio platform. So you can go back in there where I talk about leases versus buying. You got to unbury that, and you got to listen to that one. Because you can get upside down sideways so quickly in a lease because you didn't read it, you didn't understand it, but you signed it and you said, I can make that payment. You went out the door, and then you found out everything else afterwards, which makes you upside down in a lease. But we're not going on that tangent today. But it's very similar. Is when the talking heads say lifetime warranty. So remember this. With regards to an automobile, it's time or mileage. Whichever one you hit first, you become the loser. There's no warranty left. Or we can't say loser anymore. Unwinners, yeah. Okay. So just remember that. That's a tidbit right there. Lifetime. You hear lifetime, there is a division there somewhere between time. What is the actual time? 3 years? So 3 years, your warranty's over. That's not lifetime. When you hear the words lifetime, what comes into your head? Most people, I don't need to be worried about that. That's not a concern. That's why I'm going to buy it. It's not a concern for me. It has lifetime. Okay. Take a deep breath. Run like the wind. Well, I'm about ready to burst your bubble on this one. So, standing in the shop on the Hamilton Mountain, 1992. And I got my parts rep with me from one of the local parts stores where I buy my bulk motor oil through. And I have my favorites that I have used for many, many years, not only for myself, but my customers as well, my clients. And so he brings a factory rep from another top name brand motor oil company. And, the chap was a nice fella. And, we enjoyed a nice hot cup of coffee that day. And we got talking about the different motor oils out there, and my question came to, this synthetic thing is really expensive for clients. I said, I don't want to carry bulk synthetic. I said, it's not necessary. Or is it? That's what I said to him. Or is it? What are the feature benefits that my clients or myself would get from full synthetic oils? And he looked at me right in the eyeballs and he said this: well, the average driver will never experience all the feature benefits of synthetic oils. Yep. And I could hear this click, 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 click. That's my neck adjustment required. And I said, did I just hear you say what I think you said? He goes, yeah, there's no possible way that the average driver can get all the feature benefits out of a full synthetic oil. Semi-synthetic, yes. Full synthetic, no. Now, if I told you the name brand of the company, you would know it. Absolutely, you would know it. For sure. And so I'm going to put a little bug in your ear. If you want to do some further research, because I'm not the talking head. I'll tell you that. I will always give it to you straight up from my experience that I've had in almost 4.5 decades in dealing with people who will give you the truth all the time. All the time. Not sometime. All the time. So, here's the thing. Is synthetic oils is what sold the lifetime, the maintenance-free package deal. But it's not true. There's an excellent YouTube channel that I've subscribed to for many years, the Motor Oil Geek. And his name is Lake. His father is the NASCAR driver for many years, Lake Speed. And the Motor Oil Geek, Lake himself, Jr., has a laboratory, and they test oils there. And I'll tell you what, you need to go and fact check me on the synthetics and on all the motor oils. And then you'll find out they're not maintenance free, and you should not extend your motor oil changes. Not extend. And the reason being is this. One of the feature benefits of synthetic oils, and you'll ask me, well, what do you use? I use top-notch conventional oils, period, in everything. Power steering, transmission. I use what the factory calls for on transmissions because a lot of vehicles now are fluid sensitive. That means you've got to put the fluid in that the factory's calling for, and especially with transmissions and drive lines, especially. We're seeing more and more different types of fluids coming up, and that has to be used. As a matter of fact, I'll use the one vehicle that we have in the fleet here now, the recent addition over the summer, and thank you to Sandra for donating that vehicle to us, and we brought it back to life. We rescued it. 2008 Nissan Rogue. And so when I took it in for a safety check to my friend Dennis and Phil that have CarTech in Automotive in Fort Erie, in my hometown here, where we live, play, and record and fix things, I had him cornered, and I said, can I ask you some questions about this Rogue? And he goes, yeah. First thing that he said, take care of the transmission. I go, yeah, that CVT. Yeah, the constant velocity transmission does not have a good track record whatsoever. It just doesn't. It does not have a very good track record. And I knew that. But he said, you got to change the transmission oil now. He says, you're good with that stuff. I said, well, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is what is the actual interval? Do you know? And he goes, I don't know. But he says, we've got a Rogue out here, a lot newer than yours, and it needs a transmission. It's done. And the lady is not happy. I go, I guess not, because that's expensive. He goes, yeah, they're trying to figure out how they're going to do this. So he said, don't be pulling a trailer with it. Don't be abusing it. He says, and I know that's not you. He says, that thing will probably outlive us all, but make sure you're changing that transmission oil and get the oil right from the factory. You're going to need the factory oil. So I went and did some research, and yeah, it should be changed every 30,000 miles. So call it 50K. Yeah, just round it off at 50K. Well, it has officially 119,000 kilometers on it. And there's no record of transmission service ever being done. So that's behind how many? How many's? 2.5. So it's getting a transmission service. I will order up that fluid from Nissan because it's, as Dennis said, Niall, he goes, that's fluid specific. Don't put anything else in there. I said, thank you for telling me that. I'll research it and find out what's going on with that. So these are the things you need to know. Synthetic, why am I talking about automatic transmissions? Because that's huge money, folks. Huge money. When the transmission goes down because they told you, well, it's got synthetic transmission oil in there, you don't need to change it, it's maintenance free. That is a load of crap. I just read an article. The family doesn't know what they're going to do. 150,000 kilometers and the transmission's done. The automatic transmission's done. They don't have the money to fix it, replace it. What do you do? What do you do at that point? Now you're stuck. You are really stuck. If that's your only automobile, you are in a tight corner. That is for sure. Because some of these transmissions go $16,000. How about that one on your breakfast plate? How does that cup of coffee go down? Not very good. So, no, transmissions are not maintenance free. I want everyone to understand that. Not. That's the talking heads. That's the white noise. That's why we've just shot the video on our fleet service schedule. We call it the car connection maintenance schedule, which is what I developed being a fleet maintenance tech for many years. So if you can't afford another vehicle, the one you're sitting is the one that has to last. That's why we put together the car connection maintenance schedule kit for you, and we've broken it down into a video which will it's loaded and scheduled for Friday the 27th of this month. So that will be up and ready for you to watch. I break down and show you the exact maintenance schedule fleets use to get 300,000, 400,000, and 600,000 plus miles out of their vehicles. That's what I was working on for many years, fleet vehicles. And the last thing I wanted to do was miss something in inspecting that vehicle, and it goes back to the fleet manager, and somebody checks the vehicle over, and that's what they do. They check it over in reference to the service order that they got along with it to make sure we didn't miss anything. So I created a list, and from that list, I finessed the list and turned it into a maintenance schedule that anyone, any age, whether you don't know the difference between a center cap and a disc or a wheel and a steering wheel, it will teach you how to take care of your automobile because they are not maintenance free. And I don't care what fluid's in there. It will break down. Why? Thermal breakdown. That's the big ticket right there. Thermal breakdown happens to all synthetic oils. Sorry to break your bubble this morning, all you Mobil 1 guys out there. It still breaks down. I don't care what make of oil it is. Go watch the Motor Oil Geek on YouTube. He has a lab. He breaks it down. He'll show you. He's got a lot of videos that show you the truth about synthetics, semi-synthetics, and conventional oil. If you're doing your oil changes and your maintenance on time, you don't even need to run synthetic oil. That's why I don't run it. I don't pay the premium. There are cases now where I can't get conventional oils. It's synthetic. So they got us kind of trapped. Well, it's kind of like when they made the Model A. You could have any color Model A vehicle you want as long as it's black. That's where we're at on some things. We cannot get a semi-synthetic or a conventional oil. It's full synthetic. But that doesn't mean you're off the hook for maintenance. That's what I'm trying to say this morning. That's the white noise. That's the talking heads. They got you sucked in. So now you got a family that has a transmission blown out at 150K. Yeah, my 07 FJ is going to reach 400,000 kilometers this summer. You see what I'm saying? How does that happen? Was it by luck? I don't think so. You know what luck means? Laboring under correct knowledge. That's what it means. Laboring under correct knowledge. This is the biggest cost-shifting trick that I've ever seen in automotive history. In all my years of being involved in automotive, it started when I was 13 years old, changing an engine with my pops in a freezing cold barn out in Bimbrook. Yeah. Bimbrook's almost a city now. Holy smokes. So we're expanding that out this morning and with a little bit more of a deeper rant. But it's an educational piece this morning. Who benefits from lifetime fluids? The talking heads. That's who benefits. Because the belief is that because you're running synthetic oils in their machines, that maintenance isn't required or maintenance can be extended. That's where they got you. Just like this family losing a transmission at 150K, now they're into some really big money because they probably bought into it doesn't need to be serviced because it's maintenance free because it has synthetic oil. It still thermally breaks down. It still carries dirt and particles and carbons. All the things that cause internal wear and tear on anything that fluid is in that gets hot and is working. I hope I can bring that home this morning for you because that's the talking heads. They don't tell you that part. Why? Why don't they tell you that? Because they don't want you keeping your cars long term. They want you out of it in maximum 5 years because they have a buyer for it. And there's a great market for pre-owned automobiles, especially right now in the economy we're in. They want you out of it. New vehicles aren't moving. Used are moving. Pre-owned are moving. And there is a shortage. And they need to make money. Everybody needs to make a buck, right? Well, if you're not following the signal and you're following the noise, you get sucked into their abyss. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. I hope you're getting that. So would you like to be in that position where you need a transmission? Oh, it's only going to be about 16 grand. What? We can't afford that. That's the first thing I hear. We don't have the money for that. How are we going to do this? That's the only car we have. Now you're stuck. Transmission failures at 150K. That's ridiculous. Real world fluid change intervals. That's where they also got you. The talking heads got you convinced that you can extend all those services. Why? Why are they telling you that? Well, I'm going to bust it right here. It's because they don't want you to fix it. They want you to get rid of it. So many of the conversations are, well, Mrs. Smith, you're almost at 60,000K. You really should be considering getting out of that old one and getting into a new one. That's the conversation the talking heads have. Well, you really got some high mileage on there. You're almost at 60,000. Yeah, we should probably start talking about, moving you out of that old car and getting you into a newer one. We have some great deals on some new ones. And I respect that to a certain degree. As one of my business mentors would say, profitability, Motormouth, there's nothing wrong with it if it's come by through honesty and integrity. Profitability is not a dirty word. But I've seen these games going on for decades and people getting sucked in. And when I read that article about that family trying to figure out how they're going to put a transmission in their vehicle, they don't have the finances because, the world is hurting right now. The economy's hurting. There's lots of negativity going on around us, and it's also in the automotive field. So the bottom line is, because I could go on for quite some time, is do not fall into a false sense of security because you have synthetic fluids in your automobile. That is a lie from the pit of hell, and it smells like smoke. That will get you in a corner. At some point, those components that are protected by the so-called superhero full synthetic oils is going to break down the component it's protecting, and now it's your dime. It's your dime. And this extended service thing, that is such a load of crap. Don't fall into that. And that's the whole purpose behind putting a video together to show you how you can track your vehicle maintenance on your own. So simplistic that, you know what, you can get outside of that trap and save thousands of dollars on needless repairs and servicing. Yesterday I talked about the dealer checklist, when you got to go in for one of those inspections. And I think my neighbor across the street just about gave himself a ruptured vein in his neck when he said, I am not paying $800-900 for somebody to check my glove box lid to see if it works. Well, he didn't say glove box lid. He said some other things. He goes to check this, check that, check this, check that. They're not doing anything. They're just looking at it, and you're paying for it. What you need is a tech that actually gets into the meat and potatoes and checks your car over for you and tells you what's really going on. So he went out and he bought some equipment. He's in his 70s. Went out and bought some equipment so he could do his own oil change in his driveway on his fancy summer car. And he said, I'm not falling into that. He just goes, I'm done with that. Finished with it. I got my free oil changes, and now it's going to cost me $800-900. No, I'm not doing it. So I share that with you to say, you know what, that's when he woke up. He finally woke up and he realized what was going on. I said, well, now you know. Now you know what's really going on out there. So synthetic oils, they thermally break down. Synthetic oils don't extend any services whatsoever. The feature benefit of synthetic oils, are you ready for it? This is the feature benefit. They dissipate heat a little better than conventional oils. That's all. But they thermally break down. They carry metal particles. What the filters don't take out, it's still in the oil. And it's proven. Metal particles are in the oil, and you can do what we call an SOS. That's where we take a sample, just like a pea sample. We take a sample of your oil, we send it out to the metallurgists, and they check it, and they tell us the percentage of copper, bronze, babbitt, and any other metals, trace minerals in that oil. We did that when we worked when I worked at Peterbilt and Mack Trucks of Canada. We sent out samples. So why? I'm going to tell you why. It all has to do with fleet maintenance. Fleet maintenance wants to know, what is the true condition of that engine from the inside? Are we going to need to do a rebuild soon before later? Because later means the engine blows up and now you have nothing to work with and it's super duper expensive. But if we can monitor the amount of metals in the oil and keep an eye on that through SOS testing, then we know when we need to do a teardown and do what we call an in-frame rebuild. That's where we pull the engine down, we pull the piston sleeves out, the cylinders, all the bearings, and we do a complete engine rebuild with just the engine sits in the frame while we rebuild it. That's called an in-frame. So the fleet companies want the oil sent out on a regular basis for an SOS test to tell us in the report all the trace minerals that are in that oil, metals and everything. Gives us a whole printout. So when we see an increase in the metal particles, we know the engine's wearing badly. So we can catch it and do an in-frame and put that engine back to 0 miles so the fleet company can keep putting mileage on that truck, and that's how they make money. Keep the vehicles running. Do the service before the light comes on, not waiting for a noise or rattle or something's falling off or there's some banging going on. They stay ahead of the curve, and it saves them money. And there's no reason why you can't do the same thing. So, again, synthetic oils, the only thing they're really good for is they dissipate heat away from the components they're protecting a little better than conventional oil. But if you're on track with your oil and fluid services like I am and everything I drive, I'm not just a talking head. You could check me anytime you want. I do what I say, and I say what I do. That's it. It's not do as I say, not as I do. I walk the walk, and I talk the talk, period. Why? I don't want to buy vehicles all the time. I don't want to be replacing them all the time. I don't want to be doing major component replacements all the time when I know that you don't have to. You do not have to. Follow a maintenance plan, stay on it, don't extend your services, and guess what? You'll beat the talking heads at their own game. Because he who plays best knows the rules. That's right. You win. You get to win. So I'm in your corner. Anytime you have a question, you can connect with me, Niall at ccbusnet.com. There is an email form on our website at carconnectionbusinessnetwork.com as well. And those emails come directly to me. So for my eyes only, you can also go to Stevensvilleontheweb.ca. Click on the businesses tab. You'll find our Car Connection profile page. You can email me through there as well if you want. So it's Niall at ccbusnet.com. Thanks to Niagara Block, the Greenmo family, for making today's podcast and our YouTube channel and all our platforms available to you. They're located at 5000 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, providing building supplies, hardscape, landscaping materials, and Building Canada since 1931. They can help you get everything organized, also refer you to a contractor that can get the work done for you, estimate it, start the job, finish the job, and get the thing finished so that you can enjoy it. So if you're looking to beautify anything around your home, think Niagara Block at 5000 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Thank you to Crystal Ridge Dream Center doing what they do, which is serving men, women, single mom, children's meals, love, and hope, changing lives one at a time in a time when community support is absolutely crucial, folks. Crystal Ridge Dream Center shines as a beacon of compassion and transformation. Check them out online. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization. Donate $25 or more. They give you a tax receipt. And take a look. Maybe there's a couple of things that you could do to help them out. Become a monthly giver or donate some of your time. Become one of their amazing volunteers that are out there changing lives one at a time in the Niagara region. So till tomorrow, keep it under 100. Be careful out there, okay, please? I don't want any of you getting injured. Watch out for that black ice. Slow down on the corners in the overpass. And tomorrow we'll be talking about hand-me-down cars and why they last longer in families. Absolutely. That can be a great way to help a son or a daughter or somebody out in your family by moving your vehicle and giving it to someone else. We're going to break that down tomorrow morning. So happy, healthy motoring. Keep it under 100. Put that coffee on. Peace, patience, kindness always. And we'll see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for another Motormouth Morning Drive. Bye for now.